You need friends, you need mentors, you need support systems. Otherwise, when the aforementioned issues arise, your house is constantly trashed, you feel like quitting, you don't have that support, you don't have that inspiration to give you a sense of perspective and encourage you to keep going. Salam everyone and welcome back to Scholastica Islamica, where education meets ihsan. My name is Marina and I create educational resources and videos to support Muslim parents in the journey of educating their children. Today I'm going to share something personal with you, and that is some things I really wish I'd known before I started homeschooling. Whether you're just starting out in home education or you're thinking about diving into this world, this video will give you some real talk about what to expect, so let's dive in. Number one, this is probably the most difficult thing you will ever do. Homeschooling is a walk in the park. But honestly, it's the most difficult thing I have ever done, and I'm saying this having given birth to children. Homeschooling is more difficult than childbirth, because it's not just about parenting, it's not just about educating your children, but it's about managing the whole picture of that self-doubt, of your own personal mental health, persevering, of being able to adjust your approach, of being able to be reflective and evaluate, of being able to problem solve. Homeschooling will test you in ways that you never imagined. You'll find yourself questioning your values, your purpose, your mission, even your role as a parent. But here's the thing, those challenges are incredibly rewarding once you get through them to the other side. It's about a journey of resilience and growth for you and your children. It's up to you to embrace that struggle, because this is what will help to shape you into a more resilient and thoughtful person. Number two, your homeschooling approach will change. When I first started homeschooling, I had this perfect vision of what it would look like. I had this idealistic plan, a beautifully organized curriculum, high hopes for each day about how things would go. Spoiler alert, things didn't turn out that way. As your children grow, as your circumstances change, and as you gain more experience as a parent, your approach will naturally evolve. And that's okay. Be flexible and be open to change. What worked last year might not work so well now. At the moment, as part of my efforts to grow my own publishing business for educational resources, I'm listening to an audiobook at the moment called The Lean Startup. And one of the points in this book that it talks about is this idea of pivot or persevere. So in a startup, there is invariably a degree of uncertainty and a degree of testing what works, testing what fails, and trying to find a path through that uncertainty as you're launching either a new service or a new product. So the idea behind this principle is to realize that there are points when you need to make a decision. Sometimes with that uncertainty, you either need to pivot, change your approach, or you need to persevere and say, look, this is just, we need to keep going and the success will come after X amount of time. But you need to gain that experience to realize when it's time to pivot or when it's time to persevere. And the same really applies to home education. You know, you might be trying a particular approach with something, you might have chosen a certain curriculum for your child, and it's just not working. And you're thinking to yourself, why isn't this working? This is supposed to work. But guess what? Children are not machines and things don't always work. Your life circumstances might be different. A child might be going through some developmental changes. You just got to switch it up. So you need realizing when is the time to pivot. So that book has really been influential in my thinking on home education. Renewal and adaptation is part of that home education journey. So try to let go of the rigidity that we sometimes have, this idealistic vision of the way things should be, and embrace what you have on the ground in front of you. Number three, you will argue about homeschooling with your spouse. Okay, let's get down to something a bit uncomfortable about home education, and that is the relationship between spouses and arguments that might arise. It happens. Whether it's about curriculum choices or the kinds of extracurricular activities you're going to enroll your children in, or how you're going to go about assessment and when it's too early for assessment. You might have pressure about societal expectations, maybe the in-laws are giving pressure about home education. Disagreements are inevitable, and to add to that, if you're separated or co-parenting, these disagreements can be even more tricky. But here's the thing, Arguing doesn't mean that homeschooling was the wrong decision. Just like you'd argue about school-related issues if your children went to a traditional school, the same applies for homeschooling. Relationships are going to be full of disagreement, and actually the fact that you argue and are passionate about certain things means actually that you're both engaged partners. So communication and conflict resolution are the key, and it's really important that spouses are on the same page when it comes to home education. Approach these discussions with an open heart and try to remember that the spouses have the same ultimate goal. You both want the best for your children. Number 4, you will want to quit at some point. This is a big one. At some point, you will want to quit homeschooling, maybe more than once. You're going to feel overwhelmed by the workload, by the stress of having the kids around all the time, by societal expectations. It really can get overwhelming at times. But here's my advice. Don't make any permanent decision based on temporary feelings. Take a break, reassess, and really reflect on your values. It may be that it is the right decision to take a break from homeschooling. I know many families who've decided to put their children into school for a certain period of time. I myself have made use of nurseries for younger children when I found the overwhelm of the homeschooling the older ones a bit too much to handle. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not an on or off. You need to realize when you are burning out. You need to realize when this is not a good fit for my family right now, or you need to realize when we just all need a break from each other for a little bit. Let's just take a month off from homeschooling. This is one of the beauties of home education, that like it's flexible and you need to be in tune with the energy and the dynamics of your family. Those tough moments when we really want to quit are just part of that journey, not the end of it. Number 5, your house will never stay clean. Having kids around more of the time in the house and not having school hours to get your chores done uninterrupted is inevitably a recipe for a messy house. Kids are having lunch at home? Mess. Craft activities? Mess. The little ones playing independently for a few hours while you get home education done with the older ones? You guessed it, more mess. But don't let this get you down. I know this is a little bit basic, but I actually really love those signs that you get in the homeware stores where it says something along the lines of, "Excuse the mess, we live here." If you try to spend your entire life curating this Pinterest perfect house, then you might just forget to live. Try to get into a reasonable routine with cleaning, maybe get a bit of outside help if you need it. Make sure that your kids are doing their chores regularly and are not skimping. And things will never be perfect, but it might just be good enough that you have a presentable-ish house and that people are actually living in it. Like they say, dishes in the sink means we had food to eat, alhamdulillah. Clothes in the laundry hamper means we had something to wear, alhamdulillah. Toys strewn all over the floor means that your children are enjoying their childhood and they are playing, alhamdulillah. These are all blessings, and it's about keeping perspective so that we don't forget to live. Number 6, you need help. Here's the thing. Homeschooling in isolation is a recipe for burnout. Both you and your children need community. You need friends. You need mentors. You need support systems. Otherwise, when the aforementioned issues arise, your house is constantly trashed, you feel like quitting, you don't have that support, you don't have that inspiration to give you a sense of perspective and encourage you to keep going. Seek out local homeschool groups, co-ops, and even online communities. And if you haven't seen it already, check out my previous video in which I talk all about seeking help and building communities for home education. And finally, number 7, they're going to turn out fine, inshallah. Parents who home educate their children clearly care a lot about their kids. They care enough to put their own careers, their own free time or ambitions on the side so that they can spend that time with their children, providing them the best education that they can. The fact that you're watching this video right now means that you care. When we parent, we're inevitably going to make mistakes, and homeschooling is no different. As a parent, you do your best, you try your hardest, but your children will end up with some baggage that they will carry with them to adulthood. That's just part of life, and we need to get rid of this perfectionist mindset that, oh, I have to do everything, this FOMO, oh, what about this, what about that activity, I'm really going to miss out. Studies have shown that homeschooling children, actually, compared to the average, schooling population, generally do really well, both in terms of their academic attainment and social skills and then their career prospects after. The fact that you care about this deeply, that you're a concerned parent, is a good sign that your children are in good hands. At the end of the day, it's always about remembering, Allahumma innaka khayrun hafizan wa arhamur rahimin. Oh Allah, you are the best of protectors and the most merciful of the merciful. I encourage parents to say this dua frequently. Oh Allah, you are the protector. You are the one who will provide for my children. You are the one who will protect and raise my children. It's all about having tawakkul that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the best in mind for you and your children. Homeschooling is really hard, but it's also one of the most rewarding things that you could ever do. It will stretch you, it will challenge you, and it will force you to grow in ways that you never even imagined. Just embrace that journey and realize that there will be challenges, and it's a case of leveling up and doing your best to tackle them. I hope that this video has given you some insight and some encouragement. If you found this helpful, then please do give the video a thumbs up and share with a friend who you think might need to hear this. If you have your own homeschooling lessons you've learned or tips, please do drop them down in the comments below for everyone else to see. And until next time, happy homeschooling, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.